the Dunu Titan S2. Let's talk about it. All right, this is a personal unit. I bought it with my own money, and let's get into the build quality of this IEM. Now, how would I describe the build quality? Tiny. Very, very tiny. Very red and shiny as well. It has a really awesome red nozzle. It doesn't fit super well. You can tell it's like very tiny in the ear, and it doesn't really work for me that well. It has a nice flat 2-pin cable connector. It fits a lot like a bullet style IEM. I think I want to say it's about the same as the original Titan. I mean, you know, it's a fine IEM, just very, very tiny. I don't really have any problems with it, but I prefer something like, I don't know, I don't hate metal IEMs, but oftentimes they just don't really work for me. And this is kind of one of those cases where the fit was a little bit off, but I really do think the build of this IEM is gorgeous. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed with this cable. The strands here are rubbery. It does have a chin strap and it kind of goes back and forth. And you know, it's a nice little chin strap, but it feels like rubber. And the bottom of it is like, you know, it's like fabric-y. I guess it's really not a bad cable, but I kind of was expecting something a little bit more. But it is able to switch out to 4.4, which is a rare quality to have on a cable of this price point. Oftentimes, you're lucky if you get like a 1 or 2 strand cable, depending. And, you know, you can just go ahead and switch this out. It's a lot like the Dunu Da Vinci cable. It's a nice cable, and, you know, I have no problems with it, but I just personally don't like it. It's okay. Okay, the tips are basically the same as the Dunu Da Vinci. It's a nice little set of tips. There's, you know, open them up. The case itself is really nice. It's handsome. Basically Dunu Da Vinci. Okay, let's talk about how this thing sounds. I mean, I like... Okay, I'm not gonna lie. I don't like the way this sounds. Everything sounds a little bit bright. Podcasts don't sound very good. This isn't an IEM that I personally enjoy. I kind of think it's a little bit odd, although I do recognize it has pretty build quality, but it is not for me, not even close to being for me. Let's talk about some graphs and we'll summarize some thoughts and feelings. All right, the Dunu Titan S2 graph. You notice it doesn't have a lot of mid bass. It does have a lot of sub bass. Has a lot of sub bass there. Its mids are a little bit wacky. Way too much energy up top. It just sounds kind of weird. Like even listening to my favorite podcasters, it doesn't sound what I want from an IEM. So we're going to go through a few possibilities and talk about a few ones for you and see what you can do. First one I wanted to compare. I always like comparing ones from the same brand as the Mirai. I like the Mirai. I mean, it wasn't perfect for me. To me, the Mirai sounded like maybe a $300 IEM, but I like the sound profile of the Mirai much more than the Dunu Titan S. You know, this one just doesn't really work for me that much well. Next one I'll show you is the Da Vinci. Da Vinci is one of my favorite sets. And so what's interesting is you will see collabs. And you will see a company doing something else. That doesn't mean their new product is going to sound anything like the collab. It doesn't mean that another collab is going to sound like the next guy's collab. There isn't a house sound. And if I could ever teach you guys one thing, like if you and I were just sitting, chilling, you know, talking about music and headphones and whatever, I would tell you there is no such thing as a house sound. People just do whatever they want. They want to have like a variety of different tunings, which I do recognize there are certain tunings that I like, but there's a lot of tunings that I don't. And the Titan 2, oof, man, I don't know. It just did not work for me. Its bass was too lean, too much treble. I don't know, not a fan. Da Vinci by far is the better IEM for me. A few things I want to look at. I want to show you a couple IEMs that are cheaper than the Dunu Titan S. Something like the Canaris S Wavering Abyss. Now, here's the thing. You may not like the Wavering Abyss, but it has a really good fit for me. And fit is one of those things that's very important. Like you can't understate fit. You can EQ a good fitting IEM, but a crappy fitting IEM, you can't do anything about it. You're just out of luck, and there's nothing you can do about that. You're out money, and it stinks. Around $80, I personally would just go for the Explorer. I like the sub bass. I like the extended treble. It doesn't feel bright to me. It just feels like vocals and things sound more natural and correct. And that's really what this is about, knowing your preferences. And for me, the Explorer for a little bit more money is the better IEM, and it fits me a lot better. And that's another thing to note. Another IEM I wanted to recommend to you guys is the 7Hz Critical 02. This is another 2 IEM that I really like. You'll notice it fits my target almost perfectly. And if you want a budget set that's like, man, that's something that Jadis really likes, this is something I'd recommend. My only problem with the Critical 2 is that its fit isn't very good. It is a little bit better than the Titan S2 for me. It's just a tiny bit small, but it's not massively small, and it's not terrible. It's just not ideal. One thing I wanted to show you the Titan S and the 7Hz Sound Notes X Critical 02 on Mark's graph, because my unit does look a little bit weird, but you'll notice that the Critical 02 does have more sub bass and is a little bit more bright in this 3 to 4K. If you go back to my other graph, what do you notice? More energy in this, 3 to 4K, more sub bass. So I don't know, I kind of feel my graph is about right. Maybe there's a few things that are off on my coupler, but that's kind of something to note. So as far as ranking the Dunu Titan S2, I don't really rate it. I don't really like it that much. I don't think it's tuned very well. I don't think it's particularly a terrible IEM, but I think there's other IEMs that you can get that are cheaper that might be better for you and more akin to what I like. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say here. I mean, I'm giving this like a 5 for bass, a 6 for mids, a 6 for highs, a 7 for images. It's okay. Decent note weight. Its soundstage, I'm giving a 6, and 7 for resolution. It's pretty, but it's kind of boring and bright, and it doesn't really fit me well. It just doesn't get a recommend for me. The more and more I learn about audiophile land, the more I realize that fit is just huge. I got enticed by a pretty cable by being the nice new shiny thing and be like, ooh, I might like this. This might be good. And it wasn't. I didn't like it. I didn't check out Mark's graph. I didn't check out other signs that this might not work for me. And I fell victim to something that I didn't personally like. I think it's important to temper our excitement sometimes for IEMs. Sometimes these new budget IEMs, they can work for people, but again, for me, the Titan S2 isn't what I recommend. I could see how people would like it, but I have to be really careful on what I recommend because I want to be clear about the type and style of IEM that I personally like. So when I do recommend, you'll know it's something that I actually fully enjoy. For cheaper, I actually really like the Critical 2. I think the Tangent 4U is a fun little set that you can get with a little screwdriver and mess around with. I think there's other sets out there that might fit you that could be better to EQ with and play with. This is kind of what I'm saying. So, I don't know. It's a decent set. It's really pretty. It's packaged very well, has a nice selection of cables, tips, of, a termination, swappable termination at like, $80 is amazing. Has a case, the same case on a $300 IEM. It's a fantastic case. It's a fantastic package. But if the sound's not right for you, none of that matters. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. You're still here. It's over. Go home. Go watch another IEM video. It's done. That's the entire video. What more do you want?